Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Chesterton's Jest, where we keep a critical eye on faith and culture, especially within the Catholic Church today. In an age where even church teachings seem to be shifting, we're here to explore and question the ideas and changes that challenge timeless truths. Through thought-provoking, often humorous perspectives, we aim to bring clarity to conversations others might avoid, holding fast to orthodoxy with the courage to question what feels off track. If you would like to join us as we dig deeper into the faith with reverence, wit, and a touch of Chestertonian insight, you can support this channel by gently pressing the like, share, and subscribe buttons in that order, and we thank you for your support. And now, without further ado, Pope Francis, Trump, and Biden, a tale of walls and wombs. Chapter 1. The critique of Trump, a disgrace. Alas, Pope Francis, that well-known moral compass, ever so quick to point out the failings of others. When Donald Trump proposed policies to address illegal immigration, His Holiness was quick to label them a disgrace. A curious term, considering how swiftly the pontiff condemned a plan that sought to address a crisis with legal measures. Poor wretches that don't have anything would bear the brunt of these plans, Francis declared, as if the mere enforcement of the law was somehow an affront to the dignity of mankind. Is it not curious, then, to consider what the Pope is truly decrying? Is the problem truly about migrants or about laws themselves? The underlying question seems to be whether we, as a society, should maintain borders and enforce laws at all. Pope Francis, in his compassion, appears to suggest that to demand lawful conduct might itself be a greater wrong than the lawlessness itself. A puzzling conclusion, to be sure, as it seems to put charity at odds with justice. Two concepts that, when properly balanced, should never be at odds. Chapter 2. Biden's brilliant backlash. The revenge of the open border. Enter Joe Biden, the man who sought to undo the very policies he opposed during the Trump years. While not driven by a commitment to open borders per se, Biden's administration swiftly dismantled Trump's border wall, allowing millions of undocumented immigrants to cross into the United States. While we cannot claim that Biden's motives were guided by a singular political purpose, it is hard to overlook the consequences of his actions. The sheer influx of immigrants, combined with policy reversals, raised eyebrows. After all, political implications aside, the reality is that immigration policies impact more than just the human condition. They influence the social, economic, and electoral landscape. Immigrants, once granted legal status, have the potential to shift voting patterns in a manner that could alter the balance of power, particularly in swing states. Whether this was an intentional political strategy or simply a byproduct of policy changes is a matter for debate, but the outcome remains clear. What we know for certain is that Biden's policies, wrapped in the rhetoric of compassion, have ushered in an era of confusion at the border, where rhetoric and reality often seem at odds. The result is not only a humanitarian crisis, but a complicated political landscape. Chapter 3. The Silence of Pope Francis, Abortion and the Political Blind Spot. Pope Francis has certainly not been silent on the issue of abortion. In fact, he has repeatedly spoken out against this grave moral injustice, calling it one of the great evils of our time. But there is one notable silence that stands out: his failure to publicly confront Joe Biden, a fellow Catholic, for his strong support of abortion and the actions taken by his administration in response to the Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe v. Wade. While Pope Francis has consistently condemned abortion in general terms, his failure to address the direct contradiction between church teaching and Biden's stance on abortion is particularly striking. Given Biden's outspoken support for policies that not only promote abortion rights, but also expand access to abortion services, it seems that a pastoral correction from the Holy Father is not just warranted, but absolutely necessary. The Pope, who has been quick to rebuke others on moral matters, has remained conspicuously silent when it comes to directly challenging a political figure within his own flock. But the silence doesn't end there. Take, for instance, the spectacle of Nancy Pelosi, a Catholic whose pro-abortion views have led to her censure by her own bishop. And what does she do in response? Like a child who's been sent to her room, she runs off to Rome to receive the Eucharist from the Holy Father himself, a gesture that seems designed not for repentance, but for defiance. It's as if she was sticking out her tongue at her bishop's authority, taunting the very notion of accountability, while parading through the Vatican as though she were above reproach. The image of a seasoned politician who, as a public figure, holds one of the most influential positions in the country, acting like a petulant child, is almost too rich to ignore. And what's worse, Pope Francis, the supposed shepherd of the faithful, not only allows this affront to pass without correction, but offers a public gesture that sends the message that political power can indeed buy a free pass. What happened to the Church's responsibility to hold its leaders to account, to shepherd them back to the fold when they wander? The lack of a firm response to Pelosi's actions and the near celebratory reception she received leaves us wondering, has the pastoral care of the Church given way to political favoritism? Is moral clarity now a negotiable commodity to be adjusted based on who walks through the door? With this kind of inconsistency, the Pope's silence is not just an oversight, it's a tacit endorsement of political defiance against Church teachings. Chapter 4. The Great Masquerade. Politics, not principle. What we are witnessing today is not a principled battle between right and wrong, but rather a masquerade. A masquerade where laws, principles, and even morality become little more than tools in the game of power. Pope Francis, despite his many good intentions, has sometimes played into this political theatre, particularly with his swift condemnation of Trump's border policies. His criticisms, while rooted in compassion, seem to lack the necessary depth to challenge the broader issues at hand: the role of the law, the integrity of borders, and the underlying political motivations. At the same time, Biden's border policies, cloaked in the language of humanitarianism, mask the consequences of a system struggling to maintain order. The law, it seems, is for those who can afford the luxury of it. For others, the rules are more flexible. The result is a nation balancing on the precipice of disorder, while the Church's moral guidance often appears muted by the cacophony of political discourse. Chapter 5. A New Moral Order. What then is the ultimate takeaway from this intersection of politics and compassion? While Pope Francis's stance on abortion is clear, his silence on Biden's pro-abortion policies invites questions about the consistency of his leadership. The contrast between his vocal criticism of Trump's border policies and his reticence to challenge Biden's moral failings leaves us wondering whether political considerations have overshadowed the pastoral duty to correct. Ultimately, the issue is not about the policies of Trump or Biden. It is about the failure to see the bigger picture. True compassion is not about political maneuvering or ideological purity, but about upholding the dignity of all human beings, migrants and unborn children alike. The masquerade continues, and the world watches, hoping for clarity and consistency in the face of an increasingly complex global stage. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video and share our passion for defending the true faith with a touch of humor, be sure to head over to chestertonsjest.com and check out our collection of bold, pro-Catholic graphic tees designed to spark conversation and inspire conviction. Whether you're looking to wear your faith proudly or share a laugh, we've got something for everyone. Visit us today and join the movement, because in times like these, it's more important than ever to stand firm in our beliefs with style and wit. As Chesterton once said, "A madman is not someone who has lost his reason. A madman is someone who has lost everything except his reason." So, let's keep our reason and our faith intact together. Thanks for listening. God bless you, and may the good Lord be praised.